Florida State is coming off a phenomenal season in 2023, going 12-0 with a truly star-studded team just absolutely stacked with NFL talent. The numbers are truly telling about just how good that 23 squad was and speaks volumes to the factory that Mike Norvell is building there in Tallahassee. But don't just take my word for it, let's look at the numbers. Florida State had 12 players that received invites to the NFL Combine. That is the third most in the country behind only Michigan and Washington, who were both playoff teams. And yes, that means even more than Texas, Alabama, and even Georgia. Of those players that received an invite, 7 of them rank in the top 100 of PFF's NFL Draft Big Board. That is the most in the entire country, even more than Michigan and Washington. For context, Georgia has 6, Bama has 6, LSU has 4. Now, if you're an FSU fan, don't take these numbers lightly. This means come this April, we'll see the most Florida State players taken in the draft since 2015. They have 2 projected players to go in the first round, in Jared Verse and Keon Coleman, who were both elite in their time at Florida State. For context on that, Florida State has only had 2 guys taken in the first round total since 2019. That's, of course, speaking back to Brian Burns and Jermaine Johnson. So not shocking to see yet another defensive end and Jared Verse becoming one of the top players in this year's draft. My point in all of this is, for one, when you break it down by the numbers that way, not only is it almost a bit of a shock saying it all out loud, but it proves quite a few things. For one, it proves that Florida State, again, was absolutely just robbed by the playoff committee. Having 12 NFL caliber guys proves just how insane and arbitrary it is to discredit a team and say that they're somehow not competitive just because one of those guys gets injured. Now, if you're wondering, yes, Jordan Travis was one of the 12 guys to get an invite despite his injury, and he may very likely get drafted in one of the later rounds. But as good as Jordan was, and as much as he meant to this team and this program as a whole, there was 11 plus other guys that played at an elite level all year and made Florida State one of the most complete teams in college football. To further that point, I'm not sure how many of you guys kept up with the Senior Bowl at all, but multiple Florida State players showed up and showed out. Johnny Wilson had a very good showing, including multiple good reps against a Georgia defender. I want to say it was Javon Bullard, but I'm not 100% there. Jaheim Bell also looked very good, seeming much, much healthier than what we saw, especially towards the last half of the season from him. Braden Fisk was named MVP of the whole thing and got himself the attention of several NFL scouts. A lot of guys deemed him as one of the guys who increased his draft stock the most out of the whole thing. Now, he may not be the perfect NFL size, but his motor, his speed, and just his talent are all very much NFL worthy. But all this is just to say that this team was absolutely a top roster in college football, and especially given a month off to prepare, could have been dangerous in the playoffs. No, I'm not sure when I'll stop being upset about the snub there, but it'll probably be a while. But this also means so much more for Florida State. For one, it means for the first time in a while now, Florida State fans are going to be able to flip over to the NFL and see a lot more familiar faces. So it'll be interesting to see where all these guys go. There's, of course, multiple different mock drafts and things out there. It's actually been reported that Jordan Travis has met with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's a scenario I could actually see. Like I mentioned, Jordan will probably be a late-round pick, but you could definitely see them taking a flyer on him while they try to figure out their quarterback situation. But this draft, these numbers, these players all speak volumes of Mike Norvell and the overall direction he has Florida State heading as a program. Like we said, this will be the most Florida State players taken in the draft in almost 10 years. That speaks to the development that is getting done by this staff, especially at defensive end. It's hard to argue. That's one position that Florida State had just hit on multiple times with guys like Brian Burns, Joshua Kando, Jermaine Johnson, and now added Jared Verse into that mix. Which also goes to say that this should help out with recruiting both the high school ranks and in the transfer portal. And especially with the portal, Florida State is taking guys that didn't have a great draft stock at one point. Guys like Trey Benson, who had a nasty injury, Johnny Wilson, Braden Fisk. I mean, some of these guys are almost quit football entirely, and now they're looking at getting drafted in the first 2 to 3 rounds of the NFL. It's a hell of a resume, and you can guarantee that the staff will use that with future recruiting, as they should. So major props to all these guys for putting in the work and doing things necessary to achieve their goals to go to the NFL. Major props to Mike Norvell and the staff here with not only bringing these kind of players in, but developing them at a high level as well. This is all certainly a testament to what Mike Norvell is doing here at Florida State. I think there's a lot more where that came from. We appreciate you guys hanging out. If you've enjoyed the content, definitely drop a like on the video. Consider hitting that subscribe button. Our goal is to hit 1,000 subs by kickoff in Ireland, and we are getting there quickly. The support from y'all has been amazing, so now I want to hear from you guys. Which FSU player do you want your favorite NFL team to draft? Let me know down in the comments, and let's talk Knowles.